Welcome to Huddle Up, brought to you by the Fields Auto Group. Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. J.P. Shadrick, John Oehser. We're at the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center in Jacksonville. A hive of activity this week. Bucky Brooks is in Los Angeles, California. Not quite as busy there. I'm sure you're busy, Bucky, but, at least the building you're in, I don't know. What's up? How are you, Buck?
I'm good, man. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Oh, good. Ready for some football things to
Football
happen.
talk ball.
A lot of ball talking
Love
coming
ball.
up, including rookie minicamp coming up this weekend. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. But news on Wednesday, the Jaguars have released wide receiver Gabe Davis with a post-June 1st designation. The dead cap number this year will be $5.7 million, and next year, 2026, $14.6 million. Had 20 catches for 239 yards on a 3-year, $39 million deal, John.
Yeah, goes up there with, Laurent Robinson and, different free agent signings over the years that just completely didn't work out. And, it's funny talking about this one, Buck. It's huge news, but at the same time, it's not, because he never factored last year. I don't even think if he'd been back, he was going to factor this year. So it's I'm not sure I don't know what his knee situation is going to be like, but it just never felt like he was going to be a huge part of it. So it's news today, but Bucky doesn't matter that much. I'm not trying to denigrate him, but for the team, okay, good, move on.
I would say this, and I want to be very respectful in talking about it. Like, it's a move that needed to be made. It was a move that probably could have been made based on behaviors and attitudes last year. It didn't work out. It didn't work on the field. It didn't work off the field. Anyone who has been in the building and been around the team understood the dynamics of why it didn't work out. It just wasn't a good fit. And the reason why I would applaud this move is everything that Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and Tony Baselli have talked about, they followed through on. When they talk about, and we laughed, when they talk about guys that fit in with the ecosystem, guys that really fit in the locker room, we are seeing they are unafraid of removing people who they don't deem to be good fits. And in the first year of what we call a rebuilding process, that's what you want to do. The first thing that you have to do is get all the people on the bus that fit culturally. And then you figure out which way you want to drive the bus. But you got to get the right people on the bus. And I think this is part of the process of making sure that you get the right folks in the locker room, the right folks believing in whatever the ethos of the team is. And then they go about taking care of business in the appropriate fashion.
Yeah, I know it's news that everybody in the outside is going to be talking about today. Mm-hmm. And I feel like since we have the Huddle Up podcast on about the Jaguars 3 hours after it happened, that we should talk about it more.
Sure.
But as I said at the top, I don't have that much to say on it because I didn't really think that much about how he was going to fit, because I don't think he was going to be a huge part of it. I didn't know about I wasn't sure how much the knee was going to allow him to be, and it just never felt like he was going to be part of this. I wish him well. I didn't know him very well, so I have no ill feelings. It's just I don't think he was going to be part of this. So I don't think it matters very much from a football perspective. That's why I said earlier I was not trying to say, go, get out of here. I don't, just it was time to just go ahead and move on to what this was going to be, not what it was.
So here's what's remaining on the wide receiver room for the Jaguars. Of course, Brian Thomas Jr., heard of him. Decent rookie season a year ago. De'Ami Brown signed in free agency. Joshua Cephas on the roster. Austin Trammell on the roster. Parker Washington. David White Jr. all on the roster. And, of course, Travis Hunter will be coming in for rookie minicamp starting Thursday, on the field Friday, Saturday. Actually walking in graduation Thursday, but on the field slated to be Friday and Saturday. That's the wide receiver room at the moment.
And you covered De'Ami Brown at the top,
yes.
Right? Well, yeah, it's De'Ami Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, oh yeah, him, and Parker Washington at number 4, and then figure out the rest. And there's opportunity there. Bucky, I don't necessarily, it feels like option open at some point. If they look around and say, you know what, none of the other 5 are moving up, that you could go veteran, reasonably priced guy with that. They're not really scared to do anything. I know they also like, and his name's going to escape me, the wide receiver from Elon that they signed in free agency. They feel like a guy like that could be part of this too, Buck. In collegiate free agency, I'm sorry.
No, look, I think there are a lot of things that are at play. I think short term, everyone is going to be excited about Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, Parker Washington, and De'Ami Brown all getting an opportunity to play. And I think that should be a reasonable cause for excitement. But I think long term, this is about setting the table and the budget sheet for the quarterback about to make a lot of money. When the quarterback makes a ton of money, you have to find a way to get cheaper around the quarterback to be able to do it. And so even though Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter are first-round picks, on the books, their contracts are relatively cheap when you look at the cost of doing business for an elite wideout at $30 million plus. Well, now you have 2 guys at cost control for the next 2 to 3 years before you have to maybe address their contract situations, while Trevor is creeping into the bulk of a big deal. You also have a young player, Parker Washington. He will kind of determine how long he stays around the program based on how he plays, the performance and production. De'Ami Brown, I think you're on a 1-year deal. We'll see. And so what you have is you have a foundation in place to allow Trevor to make a lot of money with good players around him who are still on cost control deals that allow you to build the rest of the team. This had to happen, because if not, your team would be lopsided, where you have all of the money devoted to the offense and nothing left to the defense. And it's really, really hard to go about building a championship contender in that way.
Yeah, if you look at it like that, JP, I know Gabe Davis will be dead money on the cap, but in terms of guys running around on the field, I think this year, De'Ami Brown's $10 million contract for this year will be the most expensive that they're paying. Maybe Travis Hunter, being the number 2 overall, could creep into that. But within NFL cost, it's a very affordable group of skill players. When you throw Brenton Strange, still on rookie deal, all of the backs on rookie deals. Travis, I think, in 25, because it will make.
I think he's making 6 or 7 because
it's but still
option.
Not above 10.
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah.
Except for Trevor, it's pretty affordable.
Yeah, and to your point, Bucky, it's Trevor cost 17 against the cap this year, 24 million against the cap in 26, 35 million against the cap in 2027. So you basically double it in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's significant. And what you want to do is you always want to be ahead of the curve. And the dynamics of a front office work in this manner. The head coach thinks about today. The general manager thinks about tomorrow and beyond. And so they're working together to figure out, how can I put the best team on the field today while also having an eye towards tomorrow? So some of these moves that we're seeing made are really with an eye towards tomorrow. And when you hear James Gladstone talk about the importance of getting the young guys on the field, that also is part of being able to reward a handful of stars. Because we look up, Trayvon Walker is going to do a deal on the horizon, and you're going to have to take care of him. And you already have Josh Hines Allen on the books, and you're looking at the big deals that could be in play. Tyson Campbell makes a significant amount of money. As you're rewarding your stars, and a lot of these stars are draft and developmental stars that have kind of earned the right to get those big paydays, you have to surround them with young players on the cheap that can play at a high level. That is where that front office is nudging the coaching staff. We got to get the young guys on the field, because the young guys are going to have to be linchpins to our ability to play at a high level with a handful of stars carrying a significant amount of water. This is all part of the building process. But look, I can applaud it because they've jumped right in. You can tell that there is a plan in place. Now it's about the execution of the plan, and you hope that the plan that we're scripting on paper plays out really, really well when it comes to play real ball between the lines.
Yeah, it's too bad. And I've said this before, and people who don't like, observers, emailers who don't like the last regime, don't like when I say this. I thought the last regime did a nice job managing the cap until last offseason. and I've said this before, they're now trying to fix some stuff that happened last offseason when I thought the old regime reacted to 23 and did some things out of character even for that regime with the Gabe Davis and some of the 1 year stuff that they're having to deal with. But that's sort of, Bucky, when you take over, as this regime took over, there are details you have to clean up, and sometimes those deals are painful. The Gabe Davis thing on the cap's painful. But as you said, you get through it and you move on, and you try to keep it as clean as possible, and then one day you wake up and the old regime's mistakes are in the past.
It is really one of those things. And here's the thing about, like, when you have a team and an organizational philosophy, good years, bad years, or whatever, you still don't change your approach to it. You can rectify some mistakes, but you don't radically overhaul the way that you go about doing business. Because when you make mistakes, when you make decisions out of desperation, you're more likely to make mistakes. And now we're having to recover from some of the free agent mistakes that were made. And it'll hurt us in the short term, but it is better to address it now and not let it linger. Deal with whatever you have to deal with, salary cap ramifications, some of the, I'll say maybe discord or shock that may happen in the locker room, and then move forward. Because the only way to get this team headed in the right direction is you're going to have to make some hard decisions. And look, there's been a willingness right now by the new regime to make these tough decisions.
Yeah, I think the locker room shock will be pretty minimal.
Exactly. And in general, they better get used to it, because there's going to be a lot of change in that locker room.
Yeah.
It's just how it's going to be. Moving ahead, competition is one of the key words. The new season right around the corner, and the time to get your 2025 season ticket membership. John, it's right now. Right now.
Right now.
Not tomorrow.
No time like the present, I
Not
always say.
yesterday. Now.
Now.
Be at the bank for every touchdown this year. Secure your seats at jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Oehser, and yes, Bucky Brooks. Rookie minicamp coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday on the grass. The players starting to arrive today. They'll be in the building tomorrow for physicals, first meetings, and then on the field, as we said, Friday. And Saturdays will be open to the public. Travis Hunter, not sure of his travel schedule, but he'll be walking across the stage for commencement at the University of Colorado, I believe, on Thursday.
He ought to float. Good.
Anthropology degree, John. Anthropology.
I admit, Bucky, I am sort of excited about this rookie minicamp. I don't usually say that a whole lot, but when there's an energy there, when the fans are out to see a particular player, JP, I think you were here when Blake Bortles they opened his, and
awesome.
it was fantastic. So these are pretty cool. I'm not going to say that I'm going to learn very much about football this weekend because of the nature of it, but it will be cool to allow the fans to watch these guys run around and to sort of feel what we're feeling, which is a lot of excitement.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of buzz around it. I love the fact that it's open to the public, that Jags fans will get an opportunity to just kind of see the buzz that has been created inside the walls, like just kind of see that play out. And even though it's a rookie minicamp, and look, it doesn't mean anything. It's the first exposure to a new way of really being able to see how the Jaguars are going to do things. And I know we had the veteran minicamp a couple of weeks ago right before the draft, but this is different because now you're beginning to put it together. You can get excited about the draft picks and those things. It's a really cool deal, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to kind of see and hear how the young guys are doing, and then we're able to put it all together for the big mini camp. That's when we were able to kind of really get a sense of what this team is at this point in time when it comes to this milestone of the offseason program.
I think I ask you this every year, Bucky, but I love the question, so I always come back to it. Every scout I've ever known, and I've known my share, has talked about the little feeling in the pit of your stomach on that rookie mini camp when you want to make sure your guys are, and you don't want to be walking off with the GM going, what was that, Buck?
No, it's
Have you ever come close to that? Do you know anybody who's felt that? And I mean, sometimes a guy gets in and you just know he doesn't belong, and it happens. You have to name a name. But if you
Oh,
ever,
no,
have you ever walked
It'd be a
off
lot
and
cooler if you did,
Yeah.
but that's fine.
I can tell you distinctly right now when I was in Seattle, Chris McIntosh, an offensive tackle from Wisconsin, first round pick. I think he is now the AD at the University of Wisconsin. So he's gone about his life work and done great things. But that first day of minicamp, I think there was a collective, ooh. All right. Okay, like let's see.
All right, let's
see
meet.
how this
Just one
is.
day. One day.
Yeah, let's see if it maybe it's first day, maybe it changes. But yeah, the first thing that you look at when you are a scout is, come on, man, show up. Just give me a reason. Just give me a little flash so everyone can be like, oh, okay, I see why you liked him a little bit. Yeah. Chris McIntosh was the one.
Wow.
He is the one. He is actually, he is the AD. He's the AD at Wisconsin. We took him, God, what was that? First round, my first draft. Yeah, 2000. He played parts of the season and had a neck injury. But yeah, that first one, not great. Not great.
So now, of course, the Jaguars have 9 draft picks. They'll have, 20 undrafted players. In the past, they've had some invited
I think
players.
it's 22 now.
It's 22.
They added, but it's a lot. I mean,
It's a lot of
and
youngins.
I was going to ask Bucky about that philosophy. We may have talked to you about it last week, but we have the Huddle Up podcast, so we asked Bucky Brooks
It's
questions.
weekly.
They clearly left space, roster spots, and real opportunity spots. And by that, I mean not necessarily there are spots for undrafted rookies to come in and play. Sometimes when these undrafted rookies get signed, they get signed, but you sort of look at the depth chart, you look at guys all around and say, well, look, I know who's playing over there. How unusual is that? How real is that for James Gladstone to have done that? Basically saying, hey, it's okay for undrafted rookies. We embrace that. It's a philosophical, organizational thing, right?
James Gladstone and those guys have talked about like the importance of playing the young players. And we early on the podcast talked about from an economical standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to get the young guys on the field. But to do that, you got to remove the veterans from those position rooms because veteran coaches will go to the older players because those guys can answer the questions. They can trust them on the field because they've been around the block. When you don't put those guys in the room and you force the coaches to play the young guys, well, now they got to build a rapport and trust that the young guys are going to get it. They're going to make it where it's in their best interest to get the young guys ready to play because you're going to have to play them. The other thing that you have to do is not only from a philosophical standpoint, but from a schematic standpoint, you have to make sure that the schemes are easily digestible by the young players because the only way they can get on the field is they got to know what they're doing. And so in building the playbook, it has to be catered to the young guys so that they can be ready to play when we get to not only the preseason, but the regular season. It has to be a situation where the front office and coaching staff are in lockstep. And from the outside looking in, it does appear that the Jaguars are committed to getting young guys on the field and all of the things that they're doing when it comes to the procedural part of it, but also in practicality in terms of how they're going about it.
Yeah, when you're going to invest in the quarterback and in, when you decide what kind of team you're going to be. Remember in 01 when the Colts fired Jim Mora when I was there and they brought in Tony Dungy. Well, they looked at their roster and they knew Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne was coming up. They had Edgerrin James. Money was on that side of the ball. That wasn't going to change. They weren't trading Peyton, JP. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So when they brought in Tony Dungy with a 4-3 cover 2, which is an easier scheme for rookies to play than the 3-4 zone blitz was what it was called back then. They went with basically see ball, get ball, play cover 2, and you didn't need experienced linebackers who knew how to play zone blitz or who knew complex schemes. So Freeney and Robert Mathis came along as kids, and they made their offense. They made their defense based on that, and really didn't pay anybody in the back end because you didn't need veterans to play that scheme.
Yeah, in theory, you're going to be up by 2 touchdowns a lot of weeks anyway.
That's
with that kind of offense.
That's how you build philosophically toward that. I don't know that that's exactly what this is, Bucky, but in theory, that's what you're doing is catering scheme to your personnel and your
Absolutely.
cap and your salary cap.
Yeah, and to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I would say from a schematic standpoint, we've heard the team talk about being a little more zone-based, a little more vision and break-based, having known the scheme that they're talking about implementing and what they want to do. It is one that, look, has its roots in the college game. And so there have been a lot of people that have been able to take that system and get guys ready to play and get after it. And so I'm excited to see how it plays out. Defensively, it makes sense. Then offensively, it may be a little what I call higher education stuff. Like it may have more thinking and processes in place where you have to be able to get after it. And so young guys should be able to absorb it. But I definitely believe from a defensive standpoint, it is more of a see ball, get ball defense than maybe we've seen in the past, even though we've heard those terms coined before, more believing that this might have a chance to be able to get that done.
John, what do you want to see from Travis Hunter this weekend?
I guess I just want to see, I want to see how he carries himself. I think we already know what we're going to see. It's just kind of cool to see it in person. Mm-hmm. It was, the most vivid memory I have in 15 years of being here where you saw a guy and you went, whoa, okay, that's why they drafted him. Blackman had an element of that because of the hands, but I can remember Jalen's first day, and you sort of knew, oh, okay, well, this is different, and you knew they weren't going to play any games with, okay, he's going to earn the job, So I think you just want to see him pop off the page, which I'm sure he will. But that's what was advertised is the YouTube sensation, the guy that your eyes are going to be drawn to. I think it's fair to expect that, Bucky.
Look, we should be able to see the energy right away. I think the one thing that he does is he comes with a lot of energy. His love of the ball and his enthusiasm kind of stands out. You want to see and feel that, because what happens is, we talk about they call them thermostat leaders. Like, they change the temperature of the room whenever they step into it. Travis Hunter has that feel to him. And as he brings the energy, those around him are also going to match that energy. And it just changes the tenor and the dynamics of the team. Want to see some of that from him. But you also want to see these other guys, the young guys. We always call it flashes. Can they just flash a little bit of that ability and talent that really led you to put them in consideration as a draftable player, or even as a candidate that you want to decide as an undrafted free agent? Can you see some of those redeeming qualities and traits show up right away? And are there some things there that you can build upon where you can project out how they may develop over the course of the summer?
And let's see what they're actually made to do on the field as well. I mean, remember years ago they had 11-on-11 work, and that's when Dante Fowler was injured in that first rookie minicamp. That ended that 11-on-11 padded work. Right?
Like some of that stuff happens, but we can't put them in bubble wrap at some point.
But
we got to go.
So now I will say, or are they just going to do drills?
No. I will say, because here's the thing: when you get them around, you just don't know the level of conditioning where all these guys are, because some guys have been on the banquet circuit, kind of going around eating. We don't know if they've been doing their regular workouts. Other guys have been grinding all the way through. Sometimes the mini camp is a general assessment to be able to have the coaches, particularly the strength and conditioning coaches, assess where they are and to be able to tell the players, hey, here's where we need to get to by the time we're at the end of May. We need to kind of work up your conditioning. Here's the program. Let's get some of these things accomplished so we can go. So there is something to not jumping right in 11-on-11, having an assessment, but maybe you can give the people just a little tasty cake, like a little snippet, maybe just like a little foreplay sequence where we kind of see a little ball so we can get excited. So John can kind of monitor the completions, the incompletions, the touchdowns, and I can see some of those clips go viral on
There will be no
channels.
monitoring.
Yeah.
I want to watch Hunter and Tootin run far and fast a couple of times, and then I'm going to go home.
You're not going to track snaps on offense and reps on defense for Travis?
I also think you will see Caleb Ransaw and the Navy safety.
Lane.
I think you can see from those positions some agility, some suddenness. I'd be surprised from what I know of Ransaw if he doesn't show up ready to go. I think all these guys. I mean, I think you'll see all these guys as guys who come in ready. Most players don't come in that, not ready for this anymore, especially past the first round. It's not like the story Fred Taylor told us where Fred basically went off and did nothing for 2 months, ran a 4.29 at his pro day, and then came back and, he has told me stories that he had quite a banquet circuit.
Yeah,
And,
I bet he did.
Love him.
I love the banquet circuit.
Well,
It's a fun circuit.
JP is the king of the banquet circuit.
I'm all about it. Hey, the Daily's Place season continues here very soon. Teddy Swims, sold-out show May 10th. Kodak Black is in for T-Pain May 31st. Styx, Kevin Cronin, Don Felder, June 2nd, starting a busy month of June. Daily'sPlace.com now for tickets and show information. Phase 2 is upon us. Players are running around without helmets out there as we speak, the veteran players. And the rookies will be here this weekend, and football is in full go.
Just thinking, JP, I saw Styx at the Coliseum 46 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So I'm probably not going to go back.
You're not going back to check him out?
I'm not going to see the next time around.
Huh.
So,
You don't want to see if they've improved or not?
I doubt they've improved.
New stuff, new material they're waiting to spring out.
Bucky will know this
40
album.
years of experience.
It was the Pieces of 8 tour. So I think,
It's a long time ago.
yeah, it was a good show. I enjoyed it.
A long time ago.
Don't need to see it again.
Talking about 40 years ago. You're talking about a 14-year-old Bucky Brooks just kind of hanging out, trying to put it together. I don't know if my American Bandstand watching days were in full effect then.
Unfortunately, it was
this,
46 years ago.
Yeah,
but
I was negative
79.
3 years old.
It was
so.
79. It was a cause.
Oh,
They
yeah, 46.
did a great version of Renegade that night. I do remember that.
Yeah, the 8-year-old me was definitely not into it. Is that the same Renegade that they play in Pittsburgh?
It's the same one. Same one. It was, and sadly for me, it was on the radio at the time. It was a hit at the time. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I remember it well.
That's what they call classic rock.
It's classic rock. It's old man's rock.
Bucky, this is what I have to deal with every day. And are you coming for rookie camp? Come on, Bucky, get over here.
I might surprise you. You never know, man. You never know. I may show up on Saturday morning, fresh off a red eye. Boop.
Hop on that PJ and get over here. Come on.
Right, ready to go. Full. Like, what's the weather like? I gotta make sure it's not too hot because I can't go when it's too hot.
Florida, bro. Come on, it's always hot.
Like, I can't.
Kidding me?
Can't go when it's too hot. I need to make sure
Let's
the
see.
humidity.
Let's look at the
is
weather
dialed
forecast.
down.
81 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's the humidity like though? You know that matters more.
Hadn't been bad yet, really.
No, it hasn't. What's it now? I'm looking at today. Humidity currently at 56%. Not bad at all.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. I might be in a full-on sweat from the car to the mech.
No, it's not that yet.
Not quite that.
Yeah.
No,
Not that yet.
No. That's when you get like 70, 75%, then you're talking.
Yeah, that's training camp stuff there.
Yeah.
I may have to
Come on,
call
Bucky,
in a
man
favor.
up.
You got to toughen you up.
No, I may have to call in a favor, see if they can move those practices to 6 to 8, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. before it gets too
Before the
hot.
sun comes up.
Soft Bucky Brooks.
Wow.
Talk about
See if we
the
can get-
banquet circuit.
See if we can get
Jeez.
that.
Don't
See if
you-
we can get that. I'm not fully lathered up in season shape. I need to kind of ramp that up a little bit. You know
Sounds
what I
like
mean?
he's been on the banquet circuit.
It does sound like that. No, the draft. I mean, it's
Right.
that's basically one big banquet circuit. Pre-draft.
One big banquet circuit. Yes. We're already looking ahead to 2026. The quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks. Golden.
We talked about
age
Arch
quarterback.
already, and he hadn't thrown a pass yet at Texas.
Yeah, but there are a lot of guys now. I mean, there are a lot of guys to watch. I mean, you got Arch Manning, who everyone is talking about. Like, he's only started 2 games, but he is the presumptive QB1 of the class. We'll see. Then you have Drew Aller from Penn State. You have Lenore Sellers from South Carolina, who's a dude. You have Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, who is certainly coming on. You have public enemy number 1, Nico, who is at UCLA. He's public enemy number 1, but he's in the mix. I mean, you have a really got nice talent. You got a nice selection of quarterbacks that are coming through.
Tell you what, Penn State's going to be tough to beat this year. They're the team. They got a bunch of guys back. They're
What are you
good.
talking about?
Penn State's going to be good, man.
Talking about Knowles? Jim Knowles? Jim Knowles in that defense coming. Like, what about Alabama? Alabama didn't have a transfer.
It's great. They'll have a new quarterback, whoever that's going to be.
Got Georgia. Got the Gators coming. Gators are coming on like gangbusters. Texas. This should be good. Should be fun. Fun times.
It should be.
Fun times.
Should be. We got a long way to go.
Long way to go.
Long off season of tracking stats. Bucky, we'll talk to you again next week, as always.
If I don't see you Saturday, yeah. Start next week.
It would be. We'll do a special one of these if you show up on Saturday. I love that. Bucky Brooks, John Oehser, I'm JP Shadrick. Our thanks to Brent Reber, Joe Fortunato, and thanks to you for listening and watching Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.